So you want to start with a slip knot. For the small pumpkin I chained 10, for the larger pumpkin I chained 20. Once you have your chains, you want to do a single crochet and the second chain from the hook and then all the way along. Then you want to chain 1 and pull tight to finish the row. Turn your work and then single crochet in the back loop only in every stitch along, but leave the final 2 stitches unworked. The more unworked stitches you leave, the flatter your pumpkin will be. So for the small pumpkin I left 2, and for the larger pumpkin I left 3 stitches unworked, but experiment with it and see what you like. Then you want to chain 1 and pull tight to finish the row. Turn your work and then single crochet in the back loop only in every stitch along, but leave the final 2 stitches unworked. Chain 1 and turn. Single crochet in the back loop all the way along. When you reach the end, we want to join the short row with the longer row. This will create the ball shape of the pumpkin. To do this, you want to insert your hook in the end post of the row below. Yarn over, then insert your hook in the back loop of the row below that, yarn over, and pull through all 3 loops. Single crochet in the back loop of the final stitch. Chain 1 and turn. Single crochet in the back loop all the way along, and then join the short row with the long row the same way we just did before. We will now continue this pattern of short rows and long rows until we have 20 rows for the small pumpkin and 40 rows for the large pumpkin. I find doing double the amount of rows per chain stitches creates a nice ball shape, but experiment with it and see what you prefer. How I like to count the rows when working with rib crochet is to just count the dips, then times by 2. So we are now ready to stitch this little guy together. To start, make sure you chained 1 at your last row, leave a long tail and snip your yarn. Then pull a chain through to create a knot. Grab yourself a darning or yarn needle and thread your long tail. You now want to take 1 loop from the starting chain and a back loop from the final row and stitch them together. Do this slowly to make sure you have the right stitches. We don't want a wonky pumpkin. Once we have sewed up the side, we want to join the top. To do this, I like to take each horizontal loop from the start of each row and go through each one, then pull tight. Do a few more stitches, then pop the needle inside the pumpkin, do a quick knot and cut your yarn. Now for the fun part. Grab some contrasting yarn, I went with brown, and sew on a little face. You can make your pumpkins creepy or cute, colourful or classic. Have some fun with it. You could do this while the pumpkin is still flat before you sew it together, but on the ones I did like that, the eyes turned out a little bit wonky, so I decided just to try and sew them on once it was already in shape, and they turned out a lot better. But try both, you never know. So for mine, I just did 3 loops for the eyes on this one, and then I did sort of the standard zigzag pumpkin mouth. Now it's time to stuff the little fella. I just had some wadding from an old pillow that I used. I ended up using a lot more than I thought I would, but I really wanted him to be quite firm and to keep his shape. So just grab whatever stuffing you want. You could use, like I did, just some wadding, or you could use, if you have any fabric scraps, an old sock you could pop in there, or you could buy some little beans to put inside. I wouldn't get the really tiny ones because they might fall through the holes in the stitches, but just get him all stuffed up until he looks how you like. The last thing we want to do is create a stalk. You could just find a stick from your garden, or you can crochet one. I did think about doing an I-cord, but I find them so fiddly. But if you had the coordination, go for it and use an I-cord. But what I did instead was I just created a magic circle, chained one, and then I did 3 crochets for the small pumpkin and 6 crochets for the large one. That's just single crochets. And then just keep going around and round in a circle until you get the height that you want, and then cast off. Pull the top of your magic circle tight and weave in the end. Then you want to create a little hole for the stalk in your wadding. Place your stalk inside and then grab some orange yarn and sew the top opening closed using the same technique we did for the bottom, grabbing those horizontal loops all the way around and then pulling tight. I did pop a few stitches through the sock just to keep them in place, and then stuff the loose ends inside the pumpkin. And then that's it, you're done. Enjoy your pumpkins.